want to thank, these marches, they're for our students, they're for our youth. And I want to thank all the youth, all the A&M students, our Corps cadets up here for participating. Rosie Ann, you said you were 6 years old, right? I've got two 6-year-olds right over here, so I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine what you went through. You said your grandfather was born in 1927. So was my father. So was my father. In the last years of the marches, there were around approximately 59 death marches. Approximately 200,000 to 250,000 murders. I don't call them deaths. I call them murders for what they are. A late offensive in the war after Stalingrad, after Kursk, the Russians started taking the offensive. We landed at Normandy, the Allies, and the first major concentration camps that were discovered was in Lublin, Majdanek. SS Chief Heinrich Himmler, shortly after that, orders the evacuation of the concentration camps. And there's three reasons. One thing, they didn't want the prisoners to fall in the hand of the Allies to find out the true story. Anybody been to Auschwitz, you know at Birkenau, they blew up the gas chambers there, but to no avail. The SS also needed prisoners to maintain production of armaments, especially places like Middle Dora, which is underneath the ground, trying to, the last-ditch effort to build more V-1, V-2 rockets. And some leaders like Himmler also imagined that they could possibly use the remaining Jewish people as a bargaining chip for a separate peace with the Allies. There were many different marches, different areas. Most of them, if you see on the screen, do I have up there? A lot of you see on the left here from Auschwitz. Most were marched into proper Germany, places like Dachau, places like Bergen-Belsen. Many of you people probably knew a young lady named Helen Collin, who I buried this summer. She was in Belsen. Flossenburg, Sachsenhausen, Neuengamme. Death marches from Auschwitz. Around 60,000 prisoners were forced on death marches from the camp itself. Thousands were killed in the days before the march. Tens of thousands of prisoners, mostly Jews, were forced to march in the snow, and then they were put in rail cars. Some out of Stutthof were marched to the sea itself and just machine gunned into the sea. A lot of the marches just went into circles, waiting for people just to die, trying to get rid of the evidence. You could see thousands and thousands of bodies that were strewn across the grounds. If you ever read Elie Wiesel's Night, it's a good depiction of the marches itself. With the lack of time, I'm going to go ahead and end this as soon as possible. But I want to say this. This is why we do this. This is why we honor these people. This is what Mr. Bittner, I had a pleasure to working with. This was his vision. And there's around 90 marches, right, Rosalie, a year around the world. And Rosalie, you've done a wonderful job here in the Houston proper. There's no doubt about that. One of the reasons I teach the Holocaust has nothing to do with the adults in the room. It has to do with my students, to try to teach them how fast this can happen, how easy this can happen. We've heard many words about racism. I'm trying to build leaders. I'm trying to build new young leaders in this country who will not let this happen again. Because it happens so easy. Hello, Al. I haven't seen you in so long. Al was the first survivor we had come speak at our school at Texas A&M. Anyway, I'm going to cut this short. We have a lot of work to do. We're going to march to a synagogue, and thank you, everybody, for Westbury Baptist. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Visit www.marchofremembrancehouston.org, www.marchofremembrance.org for information on an event in your area. Hear Holocaust survivors, World War II veterans, and/or their families share their experiences as victims and liberators. Experience heartfelt testimonies, healing, and hope. Rise up and march against today's anti-Semitism. Marchofremembrance.org, marchofremembrancehouston.org.